So now we're ready to begin modeling the development cost section. Here we account for several things. We have the cost, the hard cost, and we have the soft cost. So on the hard cost, we have these hard contingencies, which is just the money set aside to cover for any unforeseen circumstances, events, risk, for this building and servicing cost. So we will set up a 5% to cover for any unforeseen events as a result. So it's going to be equal to 5% of the sum of these two costs, hard cost. And then for the soft contingency, it's also 5% of the total soft cost. So 5% of the sum of these other soft costs. So what we're saying here is that 5% of this total soft cost is going to be set aside for any unforeseen event, circumstances, or anything that happens as a result during this development project. And then we have some other costs such as the DCCs, which is an acronym. It is just the development charge cost, which is a one-time cost levied by authorities to provide for funds for the city capital cost. That is cost that goes into sewage, drainage, and stuff like that. And then we have the finance banking cost, which is also cost associated with this transaction. It takes into account the due diligence cost, it takes into account legal fees, it takes into account other closing costs such as restructuring charges and stuff like that. So this number is for this kind of cost. And then we know that overhead is just the labor and other kind of costs associated with directly to this project. So basically that's the cost for this project, and we gonna be taking the sum of those. So we will go equals sum of this cost. So that's the total development cost there. And then to account for this financing interest, this finance interest is gonna come from our waterfall schedule. So in this case, it's gonna go from a waterfall. It's gonna fill up later on. So this is the interest accrued. This is the interest accrued to be paid at the end of a certain period. So we are accruing interest for this debt holders. So interest is being accrued until the debt matures, and then it's gonna be paid. So that's the total cost there. So we are accounting for that. And then for the 50% commissions, it's gonna come from our sales assumption here. So when we've modeled this side of the assumptions, then we will later model the costs associated with this cost from the sales assumption. So in this case, what we're gonna do is we will go equals sum. The total cost is just the sum of all of these costs plus the land cost over there. So that's the total sum in this case. So for per unit basis and for per square foot, it is just gonna be, in this case, it's just gonna be equal to the land cost here, and then we divide it by the total number of units, which is 60 units in this case. So they're building 60 units in this project. So per unit is gonna be this amount. The per square foot is gonna be either this amount we divided by the average unit size, or you could still just go equal to the land cost and we divide it by the net sellable area. It gives us the dollar per square foot. So in this case, we just reference the net sellable area with F4, so we always account into that. So, and then we also reference the number of units with F4 because we have to copy this formula down and paste a special. So we go copy all the way down, or ESF, and we paste as formulas to keep the formula in place. So what we've done here is we have accounted for the development cost, which will ultimately drive our cash flow and whatever schedule section. So the next thing we're gonna do here is to account for the sales assumption. So we're gonna be doing this in the next video.